Hello everybody, I'm Michael Wheeler with Alaska Computer Support. I'm here today to talk to you about RAID systems, hard drive arrays, and servers and data management. So we've been having some different questions come up about this, specifically in regards to should I or shouldn't I use RAID? And exactly what does RAID do for me? And is RAID an adequate backup solution? So today I'd like to take some of the mystery out of that and provide some answers and give you some insight into the good solutions, or at least the ones that we recommend. So RAID is the process of taking multiple hard drives, single hard drive unit, second hard drive unit, and making these two hard drives work as one so that the information coming out of here is in a constant stream and it seems like one. So there's a couple different configurations that go along with this, and there's a lot of technical specs. I'm not going to get highly technical in this conversation. I just want to give an overview for owners and managers and people who aren't IT people. So when we talk about RAID, you'll hear people talk about, well, it's RAID 0, it's RAID 1, it's RAID 10, so on and so forth. So what happens is that the information becomes cloned in between the two different locations back and forth. We have one of the RAID types, which is called striping. And what striping does is allows the drives to act really fast. So one benefit of a RAID would be fast speed. Okay? But when I go into the next configuration, which is going to be a mirror, which says that, hey, all the information that's on this drive is cloned onto this drive, I'm going to lose speed, but I'm going to have a quote-unquote redundant backup. Okay? Now, this is where a lot of confusion comes in. That's not a true backup. Okay? And why is because, sure, if this drive died, that drive can keep on working, and then we just can replace this drive and keep on going. But why I say that's not actually a backup is because if there's a power surge or a problem with this whole entire mechanism, all my data is gone. The other thing that becomes really important to understand here is hard drives are one piece of it, hard drives. The next piece of it is the controller. Okay? There is a controller card that talks to these two guys, talks to both these hard drives. If, for whatever reason, you lose this controller card, all of this breaks, even if these are not broken. So there's a configuration software on here that if it's lost, damaged, or has any kind of major problems, it can take down your whole entire RAID. And so when we deal with RAID recovery, we're actually a authorized reseller of Drive Savers out of California, the world's best backup. And I'm not just saying that, they're actually rated that. They're one of the only manufacturers in the world that are actually authorized to open up hard drives without voiding the manufacturer's warranty for pretty much all hard drive manufacturers. So those guys do a great job. Now, keep in mind, when we go to use those guys, the dollar amounts start in the few $1,000s just for entry level. When we start getting into RAID controllers and things like this, it's easy to get up to $5,000 to $10,000 plus. And why is because it's very complex. And they have to use white rooms and clean rooms and use processes, and they've created these algorithms to recover that data. So what we prefer to see, unless we have a very specific need for why we have a RAID configuration, we prefer to see single drives in place. And we prefer to see the single drive because, number one, we've taken that controller out of the question. And now what we have is we have the single drive in place. We can get the job done, give them that data out. But at the same time, what we do is external to the whole entire computer system. We put typically via USB another hard drive that is a cloned copy. And this is back to where we utilize bare metal backup process. And what that means is that I could take this external hard drive here and move it from one computer to any other computer, as long as it's PC format, not like Macintosh. And I could bring that server back up and online typically 2 to 4 hours with most of the processes that we use. So that is a true backup. Okay. Now, if speed does become issues, we can still get into utilizing different RAID techniques for that speed improvement. But here again, if we do have any problems with that, for some reason we start to get a degraded drive setup that we can't repair, or we lose the RAID controller, then we get into a lot more problems with being able to recover data. At this point, as long as it's a software crash on the drive, I still have access to all the data here. And so if for some reason there was some sort of failure, say someone wasn't using something like our backup assurance program, to where we do daily monitoring to make sure backups are happening, if they're just kind of winging it and saying, we thought it was set up, but all of a sudden we found out, our backups haven't run in 2 months, we can still access data off this drive very easily without having to use a process like Drive Savers, which is very expensive. So that's some ideas on backups and RAID. And so here again, I'm not saying that we don't want to use RAID, but we need to use RAID only in the appropriate places, and we need to make sure that we put in a backup solution that's going to be very appropriate for it. Typically, RAID is going to be more enterprise, unless we have a very specific need or requirement due to a third-party piece of software. So there's a little bit of information on RAID systems and backup systems. So if you have any questions or want more information on this or need some help with RAIDs or backups, definitely call us at Alaska Computer Support. My name is Michael Wheeler, 868-7300. That's 907-868-7300 or www.alaskacomputersupport.com. Thank you.